So I know a lot of toy lines, but the movie line specifically had tons of store exclusives, whether it be multi-packs or recolors. During the design process, how do exclusives differ from mass releases?
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's a whole different team. And that team doesn't always have use of all the molds at the same time. You know, that's where you see some of the weird old things show up. It's a whole different team. They have a whole different cost structure and budget structure for exclusives. Those are corporate tie-in partnerships and stuff that, you know, kind of are different. So that's a whole different group that chases those down. And as a result, you know, sometimes you get some oddballs that aren't, you know, the one that flipped my lid was that yellow RID Optimus from way back in the day. That I was just like, you know, I still tell that guy, you messed up. Optimus is never yellow. So yeah, that's a whole different group.
Given fan response in terms of availability and international fans and such like that, how difficult is it and what factors do you have to consider when creating exclusives?
Yeah, the way Hasbro did it, it was all within the Takara partnership factories with different levels of security and all that. So I don't know how that issue worked. What did you want to know?
Like in terms of, do I want to create a new character? Do I want to do a redeco?
Yeah.
That sort of thing?
We would get a tooling budget, and you know, based on some, you know, averages, you know, a mini con costs to tool this much, that much, you know, and then so that would also dictate how that set of lists, that those slots would get created, you know, because you know, you can't make more than you have money to make, so that was all part of the math going in. So and then special things would get called out. So like when they would do the Metroplex, you know, I mean, that's $300,000 of tooling. That's not packaging, that's not deco, that's not the plastic, that's just to make the mold on an item that big. You know, so that becomes a different bucket of corporate checks and balances. That one had to get, you know, much like the hover carrier and those other Comic-Con ones they do. Because the tooling budget's so big, because Hasbro can't afford to do crap tools, so that they're almost made to a much higher standard than you would want, because you're not going to sell 3 million Metroplexes, but the tools will work for a lot longer. You know, so that's a difference often between a third party and a Hasbro. The expense of the tools is what really can change the game.
Does Hasbro have any kind of response to third parties that you know of?
Not that I know of, and it's not my responsibility now. Don't take them to HasCon.
Okay. When I just noticed when looking at some of the toys over the years, I noticed that some toys were hard to find. Is that due to certain copyrights that say, I know Jazz transforms into a Porsche,
yeah.
And some companies have issues when a robot transforms into the cars.
Yeah.
Is that due to copyrights or?
Well, we would work with the companies in the cases of Porsches or Fords or Chevys or whatever to get the rights to do those. Whether how they're ratioed in a shipper box is kind of like an art or a science or just really unlucky kind of job to have, because you really never do know. And then sometimes there's limitations, like the tooling. You might have some items that can tool for every press or whatever, where some might only have 2. So just by the nature of creation, you're going to end up with that many more of the one tooled character than the other, and then that manifests itself in the shipper box and then down the store shelf, and that's where you see like the 1 Jazz and 5 Bumblebees.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they're making a conscious bet that Bumblebee will sell more than the Jazz, both in the tooling they invest and then how many they make. I like this. We're getting technical today. That's good. That's good.